talking to you about the evolution of video games.
Yay.
So it all started in 1972, where Atari came around, and CEOs Nolan Bushnell and Ted Dabney created Atari Pong. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Pong. They have the little sets and dials you can twist. It's pretty much like a table tennis game. You just twist them back and forth. You bounce the ball back and forth, and that's during that time. They had very little technology, so that's the best you could get. A year later, after making that, they ended up generating 4 times more revenue than any other gaming company has ever done. 3 years later, one of the engineers for Atari, his name is Harold Lee, created Home Pong. This is essentially the same exact thing, except you could plug it up to your television at home. So it's the first home console that you could have and actually play by yourself. You wouldn't have to go to, like, for example, a building and play an actual arcade game, because that's what they were, technically, as an arcade game. Like I mentioned, this was considered the first console you could play at home. It sold over 150,000 units, so it was an instant success, it was considered. Later on, in 1982, Mario Bros. Was created by Nintendo. Its creator name was Shigeru Miyamoto. The only other major console competitor this time was the Sega Genesis, and that was released in 1989. From the years 1990 to 1998, competitors started pouring out gaming consoles and games to try to keep up with the competition. Games like Sonic the Hedgehog, consoles, Super Nintendo, the Sega Dreamcast, the PlayStation, and Nintendo 64 started coming out. So this comes to my second main point, is current consoles and how they're setting the foundation. So to backtrack a little bit for the previous slide, those were arcade games, and those were kind of promoting couch play and playing by yourself. But consoles nowadays, there's several of them, and they're out, and you can play with many people. They're shaping the gaming industry, and they're constantly being sold and talked about. Nintendo Switch is the most up-to-date console that Nintendo has came out with. It's actually not only played at home on your television, but it can be packed up and you can play it on the go. You could it's actually pretty cool. This picture right up here is the home version of it. You can slide it down and it turns into a controller. You have analog sticks and things like that. And whenever you want to be on the go, so like if you want to go to the airport or something like that, you can just pack it right up, and it's just like a little carry-on. And you can just pop it out and do the same thing. The second one, when it comes to graphics, is Microsoft Xbox One X. It has the most graphical horsepower and renders 4K, 60 FPS. It's pretty much like you're in real life, realistic. It gives a heightened sense of realism. That right there. The next one, close to 64 million units sold worldwide, is Sony's PlayStation 4 Pro. It has a huge library, close to 1,700 games. It's the most of any games ever on a console. All of which they can play in HD. It's actually the top system that everybody preferred because it's also good for its different apps. It's multimedia functionality, and it can stream music, live television, things like that. Unlike previous arcade consoles and games, like I previously mentioned, they allow you to play with others through Wi-Fi or 4G connection. So it makes the experience better with other people. My third and final point is the future of video games, and this is where it really starts to become interesting. The idea of virtual reality or simulated 3D worlds has always been teased and talked about, but now it's actually starting to become a thing. Using special goggles that you can use, like strapped to your face, kind of like bicycle goggles or beer goggles. You know, those. It seemed like an outlandish concept, but today they're starting to come around. It's called virtual reality. These headsets, like the Oculus Rift and the PlayStation VR, they allow you to actually put these headsets on, and you can see 3D. So, for example, if you're sitting in your living room in, like it's been lately, like 30, 40 degree weather, and you sitting watching television, you see an ad or a commercial for something that's located in California, by simply downloading an application for one of these things, you can just put your goggles on, and you can just pop up right on Venice Beach, on California, walk around with people, experience all kinds of things. This is only the beginning. They can allow you to see different hidden worlds and video games and places like you've never been to before. And it's very interesting. And it's becoming even better. In conclusion, with today's technology advancements, playing video games is more fun than ever. For gamers like me, sometimes experiencing the world is sometimes you want an adventure that the real world can't always give you. For those that have never experienced skiing down a hill, surviving a zombie apocalypse, or even sitting courtside at an NBA playoff game, they can, maybe it's like monetary reasons, it's possible just by having this VR. Though through the constantly evolving technology of video games, these things are just the beginning. And take it from me firsthand, from somebody that's logged countless of hours in video games, you will not want to miss on how video games will be getting even better in the future. Thank you.
Somebody